I'm waiting for the intro music.
Oh, we don't intro music.
We do that.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's not in post. Here, wait a minute. Welcome to episode 43.
We don't have the instruments tuned up just yet. They're in the shop.
Hey, look, I tried really hard. It's all you get from me right now, okay?
Hey, I got you covered. It'll throw back from the beginning days there.
Jen's trying to beatbox her way through.
Oh, I can't do it. Never mind. I was getting the mariachi theme song already going.
Nice.
So don't worry.
All right. Well, it's episode 43. It's been a hot minute since we all talked, but here we all are.
It's been 2 hot minutes.
It's been 2 hot minutes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very hot minutes.
What's that in Canadian?
I'm sorry. It's northern Mexican. Okay.
It's 3.5 hot minutes.
Yes.
With inflation, yeah, that's probably
In Squirrely Den, it's 2's hot minutes.
Well, I'll just be squirrely dangling it.
Oh, let's take about 25% off for there, Squirrely Dan.
Anyway.
I
I can
regret
understand all
nothing.
those references now.
Welcome aboard.
I think the last episode, I hadn't watched a single episode, and now I'm all caught up.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
I'm getting there.
Yeah,
Getting a lot closer.
for those who are confused and listening, we're talking about Letterkenny. By the way.
For those who are confused, welcome to the show.
For those who are confused.
For those who are
this is our
For those who aren't confused, welcome back. This is our derailment party.
If you're not confused, wait 10 minutes.
Oh, whose voice was that?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest in the house.
We have not introduced. Would you like to be introduced as SAAG or SAAG Dad?
SAAG Dad, that's the name. SAAG Dad. In Discord, it says SAAG Dad.
There you go.
SAAG Dad.
But you can also call me
Oh,
Ray.
yeah. So, one of these random days in between our last episode and now, I decided to pull up the old Facebook gaming channel, which is now full of streamers and et cetera, and not just horrible games that, fill up your timeline with, I need to refill my lives.
Like actual Farmville.
Yeah. And I by chance came across Ray, and his gaming channel caught me because that's exactly how I feel in life. The slightly above average gaming dad, or SAG Dad as we like to refer to him as.
Oh, yeah.
And from that point, I was like, all right. And it was, my favorite crutch, Rocket League.
Yeah.
The thing that caught me there was, I believe the comment was, totally be a backseat driver and tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I took the approach of, try to do this, help out here. And then
finally it was like, why don't you just join me?
So I threw out the offer, and so one of the things we'll get to later is that his stream is a G-rated stream. So not a lot of, in the exception of when it happens in a game, not a bunch of profanity or anything like that.
Nope.
Family friendly, etc.
Which is difficult for me.
Which is
You've done it, though. You've done it.
AKA the total opposite of us.
Me in particular. The rest of you guys are actually okay at that, or at least you can pretend really well. I'm over here trying to not explode.
The difference is that we all have kids, and so we're used to having the, as they said in old school, what was it, earmuffs?
Yep.
Earmuffs mode. No, we have that mode as parents.
Yeah, see, I don't have that mode. That mode does not exist for me. Actually, it does. Sean's kid was with us on Christmas Eve all day, and I was good. I was good all day, and I was proud of myself.
See, but I can't say that I don't have words that go through my head while I'm playing these games.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Blackbeard.
Are you mentally just swearing like a...
in Mario, the one Mario Maker, I am screaming inside, and then the other one that
outside too.
I am screaming the outside, but I'm not screaming what I'm thinking.
He has a good filter and switches it to something like, I think. Well, so Blackbeard's Rusty Cannonballs was a good one.
I did a Minecraft one where I got so frustrated. I think I yelled Abraham Lincoln's bathtub or something like that. Like I was just done.
Amazing.
But the other one that really makes me just want to lose it is Cuphead.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned it at some point, or that came up on one of your streams or in a party chat or something.
Yeah.
And
I have it as a spotlight video on the Facebook page. It's got a lot of views.
I saw that, and I'm kind of curious. I haven't, I don't have the attention span if you're not actually live to go back and watch.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
I have problems. I do.
Yeah. Well, the interaction's where it's at, right?
Yeah. Especially like when it's someone, when it's someone that you know, it's like I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good thing. So that day, I had the moment of like, do you want me to join up and help out? Mm-hmm. And Ray was very much like, I don't know you, dude.
Yeah, that was the first thing I had. Well, you know what's like, Josh, what's crazy was within the first, because I went from 0 to 200 followers in 2 months. And I know that's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but within a week of streaming, I probably had 20 people ask me if they could play with me on my stream. And I had no idea who anybody was. Right. So I was just trying to be really careful. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm not going to lie. I creeped your page just to see what it was about. And you had kids and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, like, yeah, we'll give it a chance. Right. So
he doesn't seem like a complete serial killer, but
no,
I mean, it's totally warranted in hindsight.
Do they ever do?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how hard is it to set up a fake Facebook page and find like stock photos of kids and stuff?
Stop the method.
But when he talked about going to Magic Conference, I knew that was okay. This guy's not faking it.
Nerd alert!
Oh God! I mean, what does that say about me, though?
Well, you followed later, though, didn't you?
Yeah, whenever we were chatting a little bit after that, after the first couple of days, and you were talking about trying to get to a certain number of followers, because Facebook, and you explained this to me afterwards, I didn't even know about this. Facebook will limit what you can do. It limits your like if you're trying to do like 1080 or something like that, or it limits all that stuff to the number of followers you have. So you have to hit a certain number of followers, and you have to stream a certain number of hours every.
It's super frustrating.
That's rough, man. But hey, congrats though. That's quite an accomplishment with what you're doing, man. That's awesome.
Thanks.
I love the name. I love the idea, and it's entertaining, man. It's awesome.
That's good.
So we've been trying to help out and build his community. I'm not sure if it's working or not.
Well, it's funny because when I switched to Twitch, I started with I'm sure you with issues with Facebook, we switched to Twitch, and I had 7 followers last week, and now this week I have 21. So you guys are helping. So it's just a matter of putting in time, right, and getting good people around you to help build the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just worry that I scare people.
Well, that's okay.
Well, Sean's still here, so he's the one you got to worry about scaring.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway.
Scott, if you're listening, hide.
So Ray, any issues so far? Have you had any big challenges other than like people wanting to play with you, on the stream, like ad hoc? Any other challenges you've had so far with the trying to do the G-rated stream?
It's been a really interesting ride because a lot of the people who the reason why I started doing it was because I actually had a conversation at my previous job because I'm in marketing, and I was talking to a guy and he was talking about how his kids are all they ever watch is YouTube. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason why I went down this path was because I started talking to a bunch of friends after I had a conversation with this guy, and all their kids watch YouTube. And when I watched he's a very well-known YouTuber. I'm not going to say any names, and he's got a great kids channel, right, for a lot of his stuff. But I had no idea that he also had another channel on the side where he did other stuff with the exact same name. And when I watched that one, I was actually shocked at the content that it was not, and not shocked that he could, like, it's fine if he does it, but that it
was under the same name. And
exactly. And so my friend who lets his kids watch YouTube under his account was saying, well, I watch, I'm careful with what they watch. And I said to him, well, but you see, when you sign in, they ask you what age you are. And if your kids watch under your account, they don't ask anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So those kids, if they put in the name of this YouTuber and then they all of a sudden click on the other stream, well, there's a whole bunch of content in there that and some parents are okay with that, and that's fine. But some parents are shocked at what their kids will hear. So my whole thing was just to have like a community where parents could put it on for their kids and watch Fortnite or watch Rocket League or watch Minecraft and those types of games. And know that the content was going to be safe and that I wasn't going to, ruin the minds of little children, right? And so, but I guess what's been interesting about this whole thing, though, is that the content, or not the content, but my following is actually going the other way, and I'm getting older people watching. It's not kids anymore, right? So, as it's fun to have off-color jokes and everything like that. But I try to keep it G. But part of me is like, well, it might be fun to have an older stream. You know what I mean? I think that for me is where I'm at right now, is trying to figure out, well, which direction am I going? Because I want to keep doing it for kids and all that. But then I also understand that older people are watching it too, and they would appreciate probably older, like, rated games, right? So I think that's going to be the never-ending question here.
Yeah, I think that's the fun thing, is that you kind of fit in both spots. You've got, the dad angle that's, is obviously gaming centric, like you're, the name says it all, but then also, kids will, they see a dad figure and, parents will know that you're safe. So you kind of can play both sides. It's clever on your part, I would say.
Thank you. I've never been really.
I wish you nothing but
being clever.
He's like, nobody's ever said that before.
Are we talking about the same person? No,
slightly above clever gaming dad.
I will be expecting a royalty check. I'm just saying.
We're expecting t-shirts and shampoo.
Facebook has, exactly. As Facebook hasn't paid out any stars yet, you might have to wait for that check.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing I thought too. That was crazy. Like, how many followers do you have to get to before people that have paid you stars comes to you?
Yeah, so on Facebook, you can't even. Okay, so their minimum before you can get stars or even stream in 1080 is you have to have 100 followers. Once you have 100 followers, you can now stream in 1080, and then you can also people can donate stars to your stream. You, however, do not get any of those stars until there's $100 US in the Facebook account, and you have 10,000 followers.
Jeez.
So basically they make it so, and that's the frustrating thing for me, because people buy, like, you can get stars from watching, but it's easier for a lot of people to just go and spend $2 and buy 20 stars or buy 100 stars, right? And then the frustration, though, is that Facebook is making money off of it, but I'm not seeing anything, and these people don't know that.
No, of course not.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the worst part about that, and I don't want to slag Facebook or anything, but that's one of the reasons why I'm doing a little bit more on Twitch, is that through all this, and you guys have seen this for yourself, is the amount. But if I try to stream through Facebook and I'm using OBS Streamlabs and I have all the equipment, I have a new computer, everything, I have new internet, so I have higher down and uploading speeds. But I end up with lag and stream delay that gets to the point where at some points what people are seeing is 5 minutes behind where I'm actually at.
Wow.
That was a really bad.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And it freezes too. So it's not even like a solid stream where you're just really behind. It's like it keeps pausing to buffer.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
5
thought,
minutes is like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought that it was my phone because I watch on my phone, and I was like, oh, it's not just me. It's Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, 5 minutes, you can't even have a conversation with your community anymore.
No, exactly. And that's what's really frustrating, because and then it actually stresses me out, because I know there's frustration on that side, and I'm just trying to make a community where people can interact and have fun. right? And so, but then I don't understand how it works. Like I've done a little bit of investigating, and I think it also I think Facebook will clear stuff up the more you buy ads for your channel. Like I'm constantly bombarded by Facebook in my notifications now that I can buy an ad for a video. You should do this. You should do this. Like my stream for my own self is just bombarded with buying ads. Right. And so it is getting actually a little frustrating, because then when I watch other streamers who have like 200,000 or like some of them have 1.5 million followers, their stream is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think they make it, I think they want you to pay your dues literally.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Before they upgrade you.
Well, I think it's funny because, with our page, we just have a podcast channel that's like a regular page and everything.
Yeah.
And every time there's a post, anytime we make a post, there's a quick Facebook ad about you should boost this post. Yes. You could reach 17 million people. And
yeah.
So then think about you do a podcast how much a month? Like once, 2, 3, like how many times?
We try to do it about every 2 to 3 weeks, but then whenever holidays and things like that get mixed in there.
So you're about 2 a month, right? So now imagine doing a video every day. Then having Facebook every time you do a video. Then for the next week, for every video you did that week, all you're seeing is you should boost this, you should boost, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Gotcha.
But I'm still having fun.
Yeah. That's the important thing. As long as you're having fun and there's still an open door for Rocket League or Fortnite or something for me to fill up my time with right now while I'm not.
Yeah. Tell me if you can just tell me if I'm talking too much, because I know that.
No.
But like for me, the biggest thing is, gaming for me has always been the interaction with other people.
Yeah.
And like even when, because I had an NES and I used to play a lot, but I didn't really start gaming until 007 came out, GoldenEye came out on N64.
Nice.
Ooh, this is a segue into our topic, right?
This is perfect.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
So I'm just going to
wait. Then we need to have some more music.
I don't have a segue song. I don't have a segue jingle.
Where's keyboard when you need it?
But, no. Okay, so now I don't know. Okay.
No,
you want to continue?
Hold that thought.
Yeah,
okay, I'm holding.
Because it's a new decade, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yes. We haven't talked since last year to all of our listeners.
Hey.
Crazy, right? Yeah. Well, everybody's out there doing all their games of the decade and whatnot, and we've been kind of kicking this topic around for a while anyway. We're not doing games of the decade. We are doing I think we lovingly called it gamer puberty.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like the games that have been influential to us.
Yeah. So, most of us have been in the old gaming shoot here for a long number of years. Some of us,
a little bit longer.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a week I'll be 39, and I think 34 of those years I've had gaming. So
sounds about right. Same here.
Put you where I'm at. But we wanted to talk about kind of from the start, the games that really got you into what you played, what got you through, what was your go-to games, and then, kind of as you roll through, and it doesn't have to be a lot of games or, whatever, it could be 3 to 5, something like that.
Can it be a system? Because I went with system.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell you what, Ray, since you were getting started there with GoldenEye, why don't you go ahead and get us started off?
Well, and that's like I was saying, my whole video games to me is, I don't mind the single player campaigns. I do play those, but they're not what I enjoy the most. It's the interaction with other players, right? So I got the very first NES. I had that. I played Mario. I played Zelda. I did all that. Now, once I hit, I guess a little bit older, girls became more important and stuff. But I came back to video games. Yeah, I know, right? I came back to video games when the N64 came out with GoldenEye. And the biggest reason why was because of the multiplayer. Because that, to me, there's certain games that have changed the industry. And like you look at Zelda and you look at Mario and stuff like that, like Doom, those games, they changed the industry, but N64 started multiplayer basically for console. You know what I mean? Like it was the first multiplayer on console that you could play with the other friends.
Yeah,
and
the others tried. I mean, NES had, I forget what the name of the bar was, but they had that L-shaped bar that you could buy and plug into the second controller port and play the limited number of 4 players, and I think Sega Genesis did the same thing.
Yeah. But it wasn't the same as it was the first person shooter. I remember me and my best friend, we would plug in the controllers, then we would split the feed going out to 2 different TVs, and then we would cover the other person's screen on our TV so we couldn't see where they were, so there was no screen peeking.
That's awesome.
Right? That's hardcore.
Yeah,
nice.
And it was amazing. And so that, we had a whole community of guys who would come and play at our house, and we did that and then we did that, and then, we tried fighting games, but we always came back to those type of games where you could, you'd team up and make teams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then I remember the second game for me that absolutely changed everything was Halo. Because all of a sudden now we're talking controls that are way better than an N64 controller, and there was bullet drop, there was everything, right? Like, and not real, like compared to games now, but there was everything in that. But then all of a sudden it went to online, and all of a sudden you're playing with 16 other guys, right? Or girls, right? And so, and there was all of a sudden this sense of community.
16 other girls. Damn, dude.
It was pretty much guys then. Like I remember we had our group of guys. I lived in Calgary, Alberta, and there was a whole bunch of us that played together, and we decided to have an actual where we linked all the Xboxes. And I invited all these guys in Calgary that I had been playing online with. Nobody had ever met each other. And all of a sudden, all these people show up at the house, and for like 20 minutes, people were laughing their heads off because all of a sudden they were putting faces to names.
That's awesome.
And it was like, this guy, that's your name, dude? And this is what you look like. And so, but it's that sense of community. So for me, that's one of the reasons with the streaming is that I love that sense of community you build with the people you're playing with and the people you're talking to. And that's what brings me back to every game.
Love it.
That is definitely not my gaming story.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll end this and that off and kind of pass the torch here, unless you have other games that were influential for you.
For me, yeah, it was N6. It was Bond, Halo, Call of Duty was good, But those two, yeah, N64 and Halo, those were the 2 defining games for me. Playing.
There you go.
I'll tell you this: so Halo came out, and my wife and I had been married. I don't even think a year. Not even a year yet. And I went out and I'd gone to a friend's house and played Halo like 2 or 3 times the week before, and then decided, well, I want this. So without talking to her, I went out and bought an Xbox with Halo. And I came home and I was showing her, and she looked at me. She's like, you know what day it is, right? And I'm like, no. She's like, it's February 13th. And I had gone out the day before Valentine's Day and bought myself a console and a game. And I was in big trouble. So I ended up returning it that night.
because you want to live.
Exactly, right? Needless to say, it was a pretty cold, quiet February 14th. But then she actually ended up buying me the console and the game for my birthday 3 weeks later. So,
there you go.
Good job.
Nice. All right. Well, let's see here. Who wants to pick up the next spot?
I'd say, well, if Jen is saying she's the polar opposite, let's go with her.
That's a good pick, Dan.
Jen
okay.
Well, I mean, I didn't approach my list of games that way, I guess.
No, you don't have to, but
yeah, my
we're all
gaming,
friends here, I think.
Are we? I don't know. You guys are awfully mean to me. Ray even was saying that I
didn't say close
things,
friends. Jeez.
It's okay.
When did I say you said stupid things?
You said that last night. And all of you were going to deny it. All of you were going to deny it. Oh, I
He did not say that.
That's complete. That's fake news.
I hate you all.
Unbelievable.
I think we have to remember the context it was in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty funny. But I'm pretty sure I didn't say those exact words.
It was pretty much those exact words. But anyway.
Hashtag Donnybrook.
Tarps off, boys. Wait a minute. So yeah, my gaming experience was a very, very non-multiplayer experience.
How so?
I had friends. We'll start there. I had friends, but I was the weird girl.
Good to see nothing's changed.
Was?
I mean, but you guys accept my weird, whereas nobody really understood my weird when I was a youth. So I played single player games always. With the exception of, like, sometimes my family and I would play, like, Mario, or we would do unofficial multiplayer on a game called Mylan's Secret Castle, if any of you are familiar.
Milton's Secret Castle?
Milton's Secret Castle.
Yeah.
Back on the NES. It was not Milton. You know it was not Milton, right?
It was.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
No.
I'm Googling it right now.
Mylan, M-I-L-O-N, Mylan's Secret Castle. But you could, one person could jump and the other person could shoot the bubbles.
So I remember that.
We would have one person jump and move around while the other person shot. So I would help out with bosses on, like, Lolo 3 and such, that kind of thing. But mostly, I was left to my own devices. I've had a Nintendo since the age of 3, I think. Might have been 2, but I think it was 3. I don't know. Got it for Christmas, along with, it was the Mario Duck Hunt NES. So I've been gaming for as long as I can remember being a person. So there was no moment of all of a sudden I like this. It was just, I guess they got me that Nintendo and I took to it. Because I don't remember ever not liking games. It's just who I am. But anyway.
What's not to like?
Right?
Yeah.
I hear the guys talk about their kids and, like, oh, I'm trying to get him into X, or I'm trying to get him into whatever. And I'm like, I don't think I ever, I didn't have to be gotten into anything. I was the one doing the getting, if anything. But for me, probably my most influential, like, game from back then would have been Final Fantasy VI.
Yep, that's one on my list too. So I feel you.
Final Fantasy 3. Back then, it was one that we actually had a little rental place in the very small town that I did not grow up in because I was out in the country. But the closest,
rental.
Yeah, we had a little rental place, and I think it was one that I said, "Oh, this looks like, I don't know, it has a teddy bear on the label, so let's try this." And it changed me forever. That was one that I begged. I said, please get me this game. And I didn't think that my grandparents were going to, but my grandpa came home one day and just kind of casually, and I went,
plunk.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, little Jen dies on the floor. It's fine. So that's probably the start for me of, like, the kind of gamer that I became.
You probably never realized what a pivotal moment that was for you, like what he just did.
Yeah.
What he did for you in that moment.
Yeah. Because that's one of my all-time trifecta. Like, that's the trifecta.
Is that the train suplexing game?
Yes, that is the train suplexing game. That was my original video game boy crush.
Ooh, that's another good topic.
Yeah, we'll have to add that one to the list.
Boy crushes?
Video game crushes, I think.
Video game crushes, okay.
Specifically, but anyway. So we started there. I also tossed Super Metroid on my list. I don't know if I would say that was influential, but it's definitely important to me. Moving on in my life, my first real, aside from Mario Kart, which I don't think counted, my first real multiplayer experience was Destiny.
Such a good game.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
That was recent. That's like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Did you play Destiny 2?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did. But yeah, I hadn't really gotten into playing games with people. The internet scared me because as a girl, all you ever hear about when you think about online gaming, and it's probably different for
harassment,
yeah. Yeah, that's all you hear about is how if you're a girl on the internet and you try to play games, you're just that's it. You're automatically trash, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to treat you good. You're going to get all kinds of hate and all kinds of harassment and all kinds of nasty. So I just kind of stayed away from it. Not that I would have known because I've always been kind of shy anyway. And there were some things going on in my life that maybe made me even a little more shy than I would have otherwise been. We'll just say it like that. And I don't really remember. I think I was part of a podcast before this one, and those guys talked me into buying Destiny and then proceeded to not play it with me.
Oh.
Is that Los and Beardo?
Yeah, Beardy, yeah.
Beardy
wasn't Beardy wasn't around at that time. But Los is specifically the person who talked me into buying it and then didn't play. But I had a couple of guys that I would play with, and we would do things, and somehow all that that connection eventually came around to where I met Josh, and then that story is history. It's probably been told before at this point, but Josh dragged me into this other group with all these other crazy guys, which is
God.
Yeah.
Wait, so how did you meet Josh then? How did the connection happen there?
Carlos.
No, it wasn't Carlos.
It
wasn't. It was Chase.
Right. No, but Carlos and Chase were connected up somehow through the dads, and Carlos brought me into a raid that had you and Chase in it.
No, it was Prison of Elders. The first time we played together was Prison of Elders.
All right, well, I didn't know either of you. Somebody drug me into you guys, and I'm pretty sure it was Carlos.
Well,
then I believe Josh.
You need to find the other party then, because
Game of Girls and all. I believe Josh. Sorry,
this is gonna get heated real quick.
I mean, it's not like I guess it really matters, but I'm fairly certain Chase had dropped into our party and said he needed somebody to help with Prison of Elders, and I was the only person who would be like, okay, let's go do that. And then it was Josh was the other person.
Prison of Elders was a three-person thing, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, there may have, so I'm not sure. Maybe this is a situation where whoever was connected to Chase, well, I'm pretty sure it was Carlos. We were supposed to be doing something else, and then maybe Carlos dipped out, and it was me and Chase left over, and then he brought you in.
It could be.
So,
but I
because
just don't
I know it was
remember
definitely Carlos.
I just don't remember Carlos being there. I remember it being you and me and Chase. But it doesn't matter. At any rate, that was the moment. That was the moment.
It doesn't matter what his name was. My best rock moment, I guess. My only rock moment.
So then what do you prefer now? Do you prefer multiplayer or do you prefer the single player campaign?
Good question.
That is a good question.
That is a good question. It depends on the game.
Okay.
Like, for example, I think if it's a game that has multiplayer, then I'm probably going to be more interested in that. as long as someone else in the group is also getting it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how that works. And it's usually if it's a situation where more than one person isn't getting it and it's a multiplayer-ish game, then I'm probably just not going to get it.
Okay.
But I do still play a lot of single-player games. I play more games than anybody in this room.
Yep. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
I just want to make the
I don't know,
NHL.
Dan's Monster Hunter thing is impressive.
He spends a lot of time with one game.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you did say games, not game.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go ahead.
Before kids, maybe, but after kids, no. It's definitely Jen.
Yeah.
My slash played in World of Warcraft is absolutely terrifying.
Have you ever shared it? I'm so curious, man.
Have I ever what? Sorry.
Have you ever shared the statistic?
I have. I don't remember what it is now because I may have had a small stroke after doing it the first time. But no, but I mean, if we want to, I'm not going to steal the spotlight now. But yeah, that game got me through some rough patches, and I made some good friends there too. So
that's true.
a lot of time in there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Destiny. Like, it's pretty crazy for me to think about like that one moment. And if that one moment hadn't been, because I was not the type of person who would drop into groups with people I didn't know. Like that was definitely one of those. I have no idea what I was doing at that point. Like, oh, okay, no, that's not me. That is not Jen. Faux show. It's more likely now, but it still isn't. It still isn't common. So,
thinking about Ray's question, I mean, I think for all of us now, with how important gaming is in our lives, how central it is, just how multiplayer games are, I would say, more, not important, but just more special to us because that's how we met. So, I mean,
I would agree with that, definitely.
Single player games always are going to have a place in my heart, but multiplayer games are just another thing entirely almost.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say I'm going to dig a little further on that we've had some single player games here recently that we've all picked up and played.
That's why I was going to say for me it's 50-50 because we know that we'll talk about them if we end up getting, if it's a one-person game, because, it's just like, going to see a movie, we'll all end up chatting about it after. And, as we go through a game like, Death Stranding or whatever else.
God of War.
God of War is another good example. There's a bunch that we could list, but yeah, like just having people to bounce ideas off of and say, what'd you think about this? What about this episode and chapter and this level, blah, blah, blah. It's something that, we didn't have before.
That's true. I really never did. I really never did have anybody that I could just, chat about these things with.
Mm-hmm. But I think that games in general are moving that way anyway, because when you look at all these, like you look at Destiny, you look at The Division, you look at any of these games that come out, you can be a part of a community in that game while still doing your single player campaign. Do you know what I mean? And so a lot of these games that are going, even though they are single player, their campaign, they're still based on a multiplayer platform where people can still communicate, right? And do stuff like that. Like you look at any given moment in Destiny, you're still playing with other people, but you're on your own campaign, right? And I think more and more you're just going to see that happening now. The worlds get bigger, the campaigns get larger, everything like that, right? And the communities just keep growing. And you find yourself in a... Sorry?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, isn't Death Stranding, the game you guys are playing, isn't that like the epitome of what Ray's saying? Just like the...
You have
yes and no.
Physical likes from people.
Yeah, you will never see another person.
Oh.
But not like a player. You will never see another player.
But the community in itself is contributing to every other person who's playing it, their playthrough.
Yeah.
Right. So as you do things, like, that carting these 1,000 metals and ceramics over here to build this road, you're not just helping yourself. You're helping everybody who's coming this way. Yeah. And it's one of those weird, like, why is this so satisfying moments?
Right.
Why do I care about these likes? And I don't really know, other than like, look at that. These people are using my road. Because it'll tell you while you're running around, people are using your road. And you're like, yes, use my road.
Awesome.
Solidarity.
and what's the other game that's like that too? I tried it and I just could not get into it. Now I can't even remember. It's the one where the nuke goes off. Like you're in a
Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout. Because the latest Fallout's the exact same. We work together, and you come across where other guys have built stuff, but you can't see them.
Oh, Fallout 76 was like that.
Yeah.
No
So
Man's Sky.
all I heard is about the bugs, so I have no idea how the game actually
Well,
plays.
they fixed that within like 2 weeks, and like my son's played it and his friends have played it, and I know that like one of the side things on there is you never see other players, but you can raid their fortresses and stuff that they've built. Right, but then you if you build stuff, people can, if you open it up, people can stay in it and survive the night. Like you can do stuff like that, but you never ever see another player unless you're playing with your group of two.
Interesting. Sounds a little bit like No Man's Sky too.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky. Yeah. Great game.
Great game now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
True that. Touche.
Yes. Yeah, so anyway, it feels a little weird to me to be like, yeah, Destiny, it's the most recent game on my list, without a doubt. And it's really strange to me that is one that has to make my list, right? Like I would be like, no, we're going to go further back. But no, it really is a pivotal moment because I never thought of myself as a multiplayer gamer. But now it occupies a large portion of what I do. So,
and that's just Monster Hunter.
Right now, yeah.
Currently, yeah. Oh, Terraria's on my list.
Is that multiplayer?
No, it is. But I was reading that like it's kind of you know how like Minecraft is multiplayer, but Minecraft is actually like the division seems to be Minecraft is better for multiplayer, whereas Terraria is better for single.
Yeah.
That's kind of the general opinion. Which
Gotcha.
may be why I like Terraria better than Minecraft. I don't know. But yes, Terraria is definitely on my list. How many hundreds of hours and how many different platforms? It's kind of sad.
Does it cross-platform and save your game?
I don't think so. It did for PS3 and 4 and Vita. It did for those, but I don't think you can really do that between other platforms. And the versions aren't exactly the same, so it's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
I knew you were going to do that.
And I guess, since I'm still talking, the only other game that I feel like I need to mention is Undertale. And utter silence.
What about it specifically? That's what I'm curious to know.
I don't even know what game you're talking about. That's my age.
Gasp!
Right?
I don't think that's an age thing.
Nope.
It's an indie game.
Undertale.
One guy did this whole thing. What's his name? Toby Kadachi?
Yeah, Toby Kadachi.
Close enough.
Toby.
What was it originally released on?
Steam.
PC. Yeah.
Oh, see, and that's the one thing that I'm not a PC player. The only game I play on PC, I'm trying to teach myself Minecraft, and now the new Halos that they've allowed to go onto PC. And that's it.
You can get it everywhere now. It's on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's on the PS4. It's on everything. So I encourage you to try it.
I should.
I don't know. Undertale, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that you're asking, to be honest. Like, what about it? It's the entire concept of it. It kind of, well, no, like of all the people to, I mean, Dan,
I know that you were the one that suggested it to her, so you should.
Oh my god.
He did recommend it to me as well, actually. That's the reason that game changed my life.
I just love how the tagline is Undertale, the RPG game where you don't have to destroy anyone.
Yep.
Yes.
That's cool. I should look at that game.
It really changes the way you look.
Oh, that'd be nice for your rated G streams, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Run.
And going in completely blind is the best way.
Yeah,
and it's on Switch, so I'll look into that. Actually,
Don't read
you're
any
probably
reviews.
one of the
don't
few,
Google it. don't do anything.
If you're one of the few that doesn't know anything about it, then pick it up and play it because...
okay, I will. I'll stream it.
Yes.
What a goddamn emotional ride that was.
I remember Ben. Oh god, the chat after that.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
It's an emotional roller coaster, but it's like after being someone who plays primarily RPGs for their entire life and then to play Undertale, which is so different, it does change kind of the way you look at things, and I just think it deserves to be mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And the music. For
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at it online, and you can buy the collector's edition, and it comes with orchestra music, sheet music, and everything.
Ooh,
There you go.
Wow.
Interesting.
There you go. God, do I have anything else that I need to throw in there? I don't think so. I mean, there are so many. We could talk all day about games that are awesome, right? But it's not about necessarily just games that you love. It's about
It's yeah.
Did
I think that's what Dan was meaning when he said like what is specifically.
Yeah, I was just curious what aspect made it stick onto the list as one of those big ones.
I mean, apart from the fact that I feel a little weird grinding out enemies in other games now. Let's
leave it at that. We can't spoil it for.
Yeah, that's. I didn't want to say.
Well, no, but I'm actually really interested because one of the other things you said too was that the music in it, and then I see this because that was one of the things that I didn't mention with Halo was the soundtrack was phenomenal. Like the music, like a game had never had a full orchestra like that before.
Yeah, no joke. Whenever that game came out, my buddy was playing it. I went and looked up, like that made me go look up Gregorian chants.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, so music, and I play a bunch of instruments, right? So I find that fascinating. So now I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'm going to look into this now for sure.
Yeah. It's deceptively simple, right? Because the way it looks.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really easy to play for sure, but it's going to make you feel things.
Yeah, it's got layers.
And Toby Kadachi, he did all the music too, which is crazy to me. Like,
all by himself.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. It's good music. I mean, it's catchy, and anytime I sit down on my keyboard now, I'll just automatically just start playing something. Like one of my favorites is I can't remember the name of it, but when you go into the winter area or
Snowden,
the winter town, Snowden. Yeah. Oh man. That piano.
Megalovania
so
for
simple.
me.
So simple.
Well, I'll definitely look into it.
Sweet.
All right, let's see here.
Who next?
Yeah.
Alphabetically,
I think it would be Ben.
Yeah, Ben hasn't done enough talking yet.
I haven't? Oh, man. Well, I don't know. The thing, I've always... My childhood gaming hasn't really been too exciting. You guys talk about Final Fantasy VI and all these other, life-changing games that have happened in your childhood. I didn't really have a console until the N64. Mm-hmm. So for me, really, what got me into gaming was the first Game Boy, like the brick one, the gray one, and Pokemon Red.
Nice. Good one.
Yeah.
And that was something special.
Yeah.
It was just being able to, play with friends, trade with friends, have this experience of, immersing yourself and, kind of almost role playing this character that it's what really introduced me to video games. But I would say I guess that moment of gaming puberty was the Game Boy Advance SP.
I love.
If you guys ever had that,
I love mine. Yeah, that was my baby.
I did not. That was one of the ones I missed, but it was definitely one that I heard a lot of good things about. So I kind of.
Mm-hmm. That was my upgrade. That was my upgrade from the brick. So it was a huge deal. And I just remember like that was the game, or that was the system that introduced me to Metroid Fusion, to this Dragon Ball game that I can't remember the name of now.
I'll bet it was the same one that I had. So good.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Oh man, the graphics were just so crazy. And the backlighting that they had finally, oh my God, changed my life. But it was that system that kind of taught me how games can be more complex than just going up, down, start,
Yeah.
Scroll, press attack, watch the animation happen. I was just so used to these turn-based games where I'm doing minimal effort. I'm still having a great time, But I remember Metroid Fusion was like, oh my gosh, this is so action packed. I'm like charging up, doing this sprint, then I'm pressing jump and like ramming into this wall at full speed, and
you picked a good one to be your first action.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
sure.
The
bar was set.
Oh yeah, and the Dragon Ball one too. It's like being able to do like these different combos and then seeing the Kamehameha for the first time. Oh man, but yeah, I mean those. I don't really have a specific. Well, I guess I'm trying to think. Then the PSP came out and the PSP Go. So I guess handhelds have always been really my favorite kind of way of playing. But then I got Metal Gear Solid Acid for the PSP and Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. Holy crap. That was like the first game I really sank dozens of hours into.
Out of curiosity, had you played Final Fantasy VII first?
Nope. I only heard about it.
Wow.
And I've only heard about it, and like I knew all the spoilers. I knew the basic premise of it, but I was still invested. It was one of those. It had like the full cinematic-y cutscenes and the music and everything too. So it was an experience for me. I'm trying to think though. I guess as a game, probably the most influential game is Shadow of the Colossus for me.
Ooh.
Did you get the remake?
I did. I didn't actually play it. I need to at some point, but it's because of all those little things about the handhelds that I finally decided to I'm going to get a PS2. I've been Nintendo, and then I had the PS Go or the PSP and the PSP Go, which were kind of like PS1-ish games, and so that's what finally decided I get a PS2, and I got Shadow of the Colossus. And man, that was like the first time I got emotionally invested in a game, and I think I cried at the end of that one. The soundtrack to that was like my catalyst to get me buying a keyboard and just spending hours and hours trying to research video game music and try to play it. And
that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still to this day one of my all-time favorite games. But yeah, I remember completing that game, talking with my friends, going online, posting on forums, and oh my gosh, this is so revolutionary. I can't believe this twist at the end, and
hitting your friends on ICQ and AIM.
MySpace? What are you talking about, man?
Oh my.
Sorry,
Zynga? You remember Zynga? Oh my gosh. I'm embarrassed now. But yeah. So Shadow of the Colossus, and then that gave the birth of the obsession that is Elder Scrolls now.
See, and I'm a terrible person. I could not get into Elder Scrolls.
I've never...
It was just too much work for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I went from just being, minimal effort with Pokemon to, just going hardcore and just...
Yeah.
I mean, now I start a game and I'll disappear for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
As these guys can tell you.
Yep.
Unless it's Witcher, then it's like 3 months.
Yeah.
Every year.
Guys, I just started playing The Witcher. And then it was like 4 months went by. And he just stumbled out of the cave like...
Wilson!
Yeah. He's got long white hair.
He was talking to an orange that was just happened to be in his gaming room. He was going to eat like 3 months ago.
He's just covered in Dorito dust. This thick orange crust around his entire face.
So many bowls of ice cream. Half cavity.
So good. But yeah, that's the one. That's it.
Is it?
That's totally the one. Oh my god, it's totally the one. That's amazing.
I wasn't sure because when I looked it up, there's like Taiketsu and Supersonic Warriors.
What's this?
But so I sent it to to our chat.
Oh, okay.
It is Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku, and there's 2 of them. There's 1 and 2. Like one of them covers part of his story, and then the other one covers the rest of the story. And
then you get to recreate the battles and stuff.
Did those games come out before or after the cartoons?
After.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is all, rehashing Dragon Ball Z story.
See, and I feel like I missed an entire generation of games in my 20s and 30s because, I played Halo and stuff like that, but all those games that were based on cartoons I just never got into because I just felt they were too young for me, right? Like Pokemon and all that other stuff. So it's interesting to hear what you guys are saying from that side about how much those games have changed you guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like any Pokemon game, I'll pre-order that shit and play the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have, apart from, if it's literally a preschool game, I don't have that moment where I go, this game is too young for me. Like, was it Piku Niku that Dan recommended because his kids loved it?
But that game is awesome.
Yeah, that game is great.
and it's funny regardless of the age too. It's a great little game.
Yeah, like there's value to be had there to me, regardless.
Yeah, I think that's the first game that my son actually really got through, like pretty much on his own. Like we played it together. He did the story with it. Like, I was helping him with it, but that's the first one where, he's able to pick up the controller and get through something. Mm-hmm. And I loved watching him do it too. So,
yeah. And on that topic of like, unless it's like a Barbie game or something that's incredibly very specific, I don't think there's such thing as a kid's game really. Like I remember seeing Jen talk about Stardew Valley all the time. And I know it's Stardew Valley again. It's like every freaking episode I bring it up now. But I was so judgmental, like, oh my God, this game looks so weird and I don't know. And then I finally tried it. It's like, holy shit.
And I feel like I converted somebody. Like I feel like I pulled somebody into the cult of like, do you trust me now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, but I was even like that with Minecraft because Zeke played that. Like he was so good at video games, and one of the reasons why I play is so I could keep up with him. And he's just so much better at me, or better at video games. But then even Minecraft, I held off, and then I remember playing it one day while he was out. I played it for 12 hours that day. And I was absolutely
so addictive, man. I know.
It was like Lego. It was like Lego in a video game form. Like I could just build whatever I wanted.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's the magic of video games, man. Even if it feels childish, it's still your inner child that absolutely that resonates with that. Like it's amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Conversation abruptly ended.
And pause.
And stop.
We were all just reminiscing about those games and inner child. And
I know. I was thinking about Terraria
in the fields.
Right. Rock, paper, scissors.
Who's
scissors?
Rock.
Wait. So Dan wants to go last. Then
so tricky.
That was well played, Dan. God damn, that was amazing.
Damn lag.
It's a split-second decision, man.
That's so close.
Ben, you were done, right? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I didn't want to cut you off unintentionally.
No, appreciate
like a final.
No worries.
The big pause there kind of let us.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah, it's cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Sensei Dan, what do you got for us, man?
God, it's hard to pick like just a couple things because I remember specific moments when I was a kid, like growing up, and like games each having their place at different moments. Like I remember the first time I played the NES, like playing Mario at my friend's house, like who lived down the street, and then don't remember when I actually got my own NES because I probably had a small seizure and then had memory loss. But no, I played I played a fair bit, but there were moments where I'd get in and out of gaming. So like the NES was a big one for me. The Game Boy, I remember saving up my allowance for and then buying it. And here's a test for you, Ray. Do you remember Consumers Distributing?
I absolutely do.
So I remember saving up my allowance and having that catalog and saying, Consumers Distributing was a catalog ordering store where you would go in and then you'd wait a few days or weeks until whatever you wanted came in. So that's how I got my Game Boy. And I remember firing it up in the parking lot and being so fucking excited for it. And then, that would be what I would play on a rainy day in the cottage in my summers. So like that thing got so much mileage. So that's, Link's Awakening, a lot of the classics on that. Those were, big childhood games for me.
There was one of those here and I can't remember what the name of it was. Service
merchandise.
That's it.
There you go. So,
I used to love going there. I used to love going there.
Same here because as a kid, I used to wonder. Just how much stuff do they have back there? It was obviously just things that they would order in. It was like a warehouse, but what's this magical place where they come up with all these things?
Well, it was so neat. The showroom floor, and then you'd take your little ticket to the back, and they would put it on the conveyor belt for you.
Yeah. So a similar concept.
It was the first ever Amazon without the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
it really was.
And that's a good throwback too, because I mean, I still remember going to weekends. If my parents had go to church or whatever, sometimes we'd end up at Toys R Us on the way back, and you remember buying games there, how that was. So that was another important thing.
You just reminded me of something I want to bring up when I talk about my games.
Gotta hang flashbacks as I'm remembering these things. But then so Super NES came along. Final Fantasy III, of course, was one of the top. Super Metroid as well, and then I don't remember much about everything after that, but then high school came around, and then I had a friend who was who got me into PC gaming and PlayStation. It was like my first time venturing out of Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So I remember Final Fantasy VII.
It was scary, hey?
It was, yeah.
It was scary.
That's true. It is scary.
The first two games I saw on PlayStation were Metal Gear Solid and then a demo for Final Fantasy VII. Where
that was me too.
Yep.
Yeah, the moment my friend showed me the summon for Leviathan there, that was it. I'm like, I need this.
Yeah, that got me too. I had a friend who had that demo, and I was like, I can't.
Mm-hmm. It's just like, because we came from 6, right? And then that was after the first game with real 3D graphics like that. Like, holy shit!
And it was just cool with the music and the way you're running through that reactor, and you've got the timer.
I think I still get shivers like playing through that. Like I have like 4 copies of that game, like whether it's on PSX or whatever else. I still get that flashback there, and just how magical that game felt the first time I saw it. But so that's a big one for me.
And how are the graphics ever going to get better than this?
The remake, yeah.
Remix.
I can't wait for that. God, I put so many stupid hours in that game.
Well, I think I probably still have more hours than 6. I think Jen can probably attest to that too. Like there was a step counter in that game, and I think there was a timer too. I remember having both maxed out. Like I just play the hell out of it. Wow. But yeah, first PC games I got into was like, the first Warcraft, then the second Warcraft, then the third Warcraft, and then when I got a PC later on, World of Warcraft, and we touched on that already. But yeah, falling in love with the Warcraft franchise, and then that being a big, my big foray into multiplayer games too. That was my game where, I stuck with the same friends for a long time, and ended up meeting some of them in real life afterwards. So, that was a big one. And like you guys, Destiny 1 was where I met this crew. Mm-hmm. Forcibly looking for people that were, young dads looking for people that were like-minded in similar situations, and that understood that sometimes you have to put the game down to change a diaper. So,
how old are your kids?
My kids are. I've got a set of twins that are 4. They're going to be 5 in a few months, and my oldest is turning 7 this weekend.
Oh, my birthday! Man. Josh, so sharing a birthday.
Because you guys, other than Jen, you all have kids, right?
Yes. Jen has kids.
Ben? No, Ben. No, Ben.
Well, no, I just think it's funny because I'll never forget the day. I will never forget the day that my son became better than me in video games.
That's the moment right there.
It is like when I got in so much trouble because he was allowed to. I let him play Halo, and within a couple months, he was better than me, and wow. I was like, I don't even know what to do now. Mm-hmm. So you guys, just wait for that day because you'll never forget. Yeah,
I don't let my kid win at video games. At other things I do.
Neither did I.
Because I look forward to the moments where he says, "Dad, can you beat this for me?" And he passed me the controller. I don't want to lose that for as long as I can hang on to that. Exactly.
As long as you can. Hold on to it.
But I allude to it. I say, "There's one day that you'll be better than me." He's like, "When?"
Yeah. Just say not for a long time.
Exactly.
It's like, you'll know when I ask you to be
and that will be the day you become a man, son.
Yeah, like, you'll know.
Gaming puberty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dan's kid has evolved into Dan's teenager. No.
It's just interesting because because you guys have all talked about that with, like, except for Joss yet, about how it's shaped your lives, but then it's really cool to see how it shapes your kids' lives too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point.
For me, I mean, a lot of the text-based RPGs were how I learned English really outside of school. Yeah. I was an allophone kid who learned English at home because my dad was an English teacher, but never really had any formal education in it.
Yeah,
I was going to a French school, but then I went into high school in English, and already my vocabulary was just fine. Like, it was a seamless thing. But I kind of give credit to the games I was playing as a kid for that. And, my interest in sound and music, and, I've studied in sound production. I work in multimedia, and, so gaming has always been that, common thread that, it's all the things I work in, I'm interested in, and because there's that much, there's that gray area. And, like some games like, Destiny, I met, this fabulous group of friends. World of Warcraft was one that got me through a really tough time in my life, when I was on medical leave for several months, and I would have probably gone insane if I didn't have, regular circle of friends to fall back on in there.
Yeah.
So, it's all, multifaceted, different events that, I taught, where games were important to me and remain to be. So,
yeah.
And people who don't play and don't have that community, like, they don't think it's real.
No, they don't understand. My wife barely understands, and I talk. She knows full well that I talk to you guys more than my real life friends.
Yeah, like,
but it's hard to wrap your head around it until you've actually experienced it.
Like, so, there are a lot of things now about me that, like, I wouldn't be the person that I am, without you guys. Like, let's be honest here,
Aww.
Aww. And you're so mean to me.
No, that's just me, apparently.
No, it's
but I've only been around for about 3 weeks now. So.
No, but that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we are who we are now. I'm just thinking, like, when I met Dan, like, his twins were babies. Like, it's crazy. So we've kind of molded each other through these games, and kind of. It's crazy.
I find it funny how well we know each other's tastes too. Like, we're talking about this. Like, Ben, like, rent it or make sure you can return it because it's great. But
yeah,
I was ready to buy that shit. I was, oh man, it's Kojima. No, no.
Yeah. Like, I think we all had that moment of, like, just try it, but, like, don't get too.
Because we know you, bro.
It's interesting because you guys, I see it from a completely different side too, because you guys are all just getting into it with your kids, right? Mm-hmm. But now my son is 17 and he's coming out of it now, and he doesn't play really at all anymore. Mm-hmm. He's got his own car. He's out with his friends. And so I've actually gone through in the past 6 months, like, this kind of whole withdrawal where all of a sudden I don't have anybody to play with. Right. And even Nicola, my wife, has been like, she's, because I'm so community based. Right. And so it's been interesting to find guys like Josh and Jen and Sean and you guys to play with, because now all of a sudden there's another community that I can join and game with. Right. Because the one with my son, and he's growing older and naturally. Right. So he's going to move on and he's forming his own communities now and stuff like that. Right. So it's just interesting to see where you guys are at, because you guys are going to walk through it in yourselves in 10 years.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. I mean, like,
Marty,
we're
walking my way through that one. So
yeah. And Josh is walking through it too.
It's weird because I'm in the one door is closing versus the other one opening up level. So, but I'll get into that in a second.
I think the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yes, my friend.
Are you done, Dan?
I think so. That's where those were the big ones for me.
You missed out on Monster Hunter.
Well, I love that game. I love that franchise now, but it's not like I don't think it was a pivotal moment as much.
Right.
But yeah, I'm fucking addicted to that shit.
We could list out all kinds of games that we love.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm glad I'm playing that one with you guys. It's like right now, yes, it's my thing, but it's I'm still, like, World was the one that got me into it. So this is only like a 2-year thing so far. It's not like Warcraft. I started off in high school and then persisted to play the MMO for God knows how long.
Did you ever play StarCraft?
Yeah, but not multiplayer so much. Like, I'd go through the campaign and then ended at that because the multiplayer was so much about micromanaging. Yeah, faster than other people than anything else. Yeah. But the Warcraft 3 remake, I think that just came out today.
Oh,
God
really?
damn! I have to see if my PC can actually run it. But like that one, I want it, but I don't think I'd play it multiplayer just because I never really did, even in the old one. So, but enough about me, Josh.
All right. Well, let's see here. Similar to Jen, I started off super early. I lived with my grandparents. We lived out in the country, but my uncle lived with us as well, and he is about 11 years older than me, give or take.
Wow.
So he's, at this point, I'm like, 4, maybe 5, give or take. And he's like, 15, 16 in that area. So he had friends that wanted to hang out and game and learn on this brand new Nintendo dealio, So I kind of got an early transition to that because my grandparents' answer for them to have a game system was to bring an extra crate TV up into the living room so they could play it and not bug or just disrupt the main TV. So while my uncle and his friends were out at high school, I was the one who reaped the benefit because I was still, at home. So started playing Mario super early and getting the controls with that. And this is like, the first rendition of it. So this wasn't like the Mario / Duck Hunt. This was just straight up Mario. That other stuff came later. But we got that, started playing around there. And so the first real system that I had to play with was that. Now, my granddad was always into the whole computer thing and wanting to be up on technology. So we had a ColecoVision and we had a Magnavox Odyssey.
ColecoVision, that thing was awesome.
Television.
What's that?
And so these were all like game systems. Like the Magnavox Odyssey was a ripoff of the Atari. And then that's exactly what it was. ColecoVision was kind of the next step up, and they started putting them on these little cartridges that were a bit easier to handle. But the controller looked like
a phone.
Yeah, it looked like a phone. Or if you've ever seen, you know what? Actually, that's a really good example. If you've ever seen one of the Jitterbug phones, the old people have that have the giant buttons on them. That's what it was.
People have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had these little inserts
I get it.
that you put in depending on the game too.
Yeah. It had like one joystick in the top middle, and then it had 9 pads. Or it had like the phone. It had like a phone pad.
It wasn't even a joystick, was it? It was just like a flat circle that spun.
Yeah, it was still a joystick. It did have a flat top to it.
Mm-hmm.
But they had different games came with these cards that would slide in between the plastic pieces, and the number pad would change to give you what controls you were hitting, like what buttons you were hitting for the different games.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a Pac-Man like game that was, instead of being Pac-Man, it was like a cat and mouse situation. They had some other games. It was like
it had like Donkey Kong on it and stuff too.
Yeah, and it was like rip-off games. It was like, they didn't have the rights to Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, so they made their own. They're like, well, screw you guys.
Even Mario Brothers and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I really started there, but didn't really have a grasp of what was going on. I just wanted to be included. I didn't really start having a grasp until the NES. So did that, played through there. I mean, Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, as much as Dan loves it.
Wait, did you not like it?
Zelda 2, no, I hate it.
You didn't like Link? You didn't like Link? Like what?
No, there's a whole episode about it.
Yeah.
We'll catch up later.
I'm gonna have to leave.
No. You've got people who are in your camp here. Like, okay. I liked it.
I loved every other Zelda game except that one. That's it.
I guess that might.
The Adventures of Link you did not like.
Yeah. Nope. Not everything can be perfect.
Fair enough.
As perfect as it was. So no, but that was a big one that got there. But my grandparents were very supportive in my gaming. I mean, there wasn't a lot to do out in the country, so whenever it turned into nighttime, or if it was a rainy day, I was like, all right, well, if it's in the daytime and things are good and the weather's fine, go out and break sticks and run in the woods. And if you didn't have that, it was like, all right. Or if you were sick, it was like a steady diet of NES and Bob Ross. Yeah. The Price is Right.
Oh my God, yes. That's my life.
That's pretty much where I was at. But a little bit further along the lines, games started switching up. A friend of mine got the NES, and we started talking about like Mario World, and that was such a great game. but I didn't get on the Super Nintendo train until a little bit later. My grandmother got a Sega Genesis for me, so I started playing the Sega games. So kind of veered off of the Nintendo train for a while. And so I started playing games like, that's actually where I started playing Shining Force, so Shining in the Darkness, Shining Force, and Shining Force 2, which were all the first like big RPG games that I played. I couldn't get into Dragon Warrior. That was everybody's big game to play for the NES. I couldn't get into like any of those games, and the RPG games for Nintendo weren't getting it for me. Mm-hmm. So, Shining Force was the first like RPG game that I got into with that. And between that and Maximum Carnage, those were the two big games I played the you-know-what out of for Super Nintendo. And it was just because I'm a big Venom fan. So it's my comic book character of choice. So played the you-know-what out of those games. Dan, you talking about going to Toys R Us and buying stuff reminded me the other game I got sucked into there was when NBA Jam came out.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So, little side note. Yeah. That's where I got that from. So whenever we play Rocket League and I say from downtown, you know where I got it.
I didn't know that's where that came from.
Yeah. So here's the fun thing. I wanted that game so bad. And like my parents used to give me like lunch money. And they had like the regular lunch thing, and then they had like this a la carte thing that you could spend less money on your lunch. So I would like nickel and dime everything. And I got to the point where I literally had like $50 in change. And I went to the local store that had NBA Jam, and I bought it with pocket change.
Wow. My man.
And
that's awesome, dude.
Like, my mom was like, if I would have known that's what you were going to do, I would have just had you give me the change, and I would have given you the cash for it. I was like, you should have told me that before. Because as far as I know, this is money, and it spends at the store. And you know, I didn't know anything at this point. Like, you know, I'm just a naive child. So I didn't know anything about like Couth at that point.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm getting this game, and I'm gonna go play with, you know, basketball, and I'm gonna ruin people's faces. And yeah, and I just remember the kid that was running the video game counter just looked at me, and I felt bad. Yeah, initially, like I saw the look on his face, and I was like, "This isn't good." So I started like counting up change with him, like setting it in stacks. And after he got to a certain point, he was just like, "No, you're good." And I think the fact that I actually was willing to stay there and count the change let him know that I wasn't like shortchanging him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he literally, like, I saw him after I walked away, just like take a big scoop of change and just scoop it all into the cash register. So I think he hit a point where he was just like, you know what? I think this kid.
Next shift, I'll deal with it.
Yep, there you go. Somebody who's counting the register later is going to have to deal with this rat race. So that happened. And that was kind of an interesting point, because that was, those couple of games got me through. I lived with my grandparents for a while, and then my mom got married, and I had to, you know, adjust to having a stepdad. And then we moved completely out of the way of everything. So I went away from all my friends to a place where I knew nobody and didn't know anything. And it was just like, I kind of sheltered myself in, and then I moved from one spot to another spot to another spot. So I went to school 3 different places, 3 different years.
How old were you, man? Sorry, I didn't know.
That was like my 11, 12, 13 years.
Damn.
So that was like right in that
years,
spot.
Man.
Yeah, 11 to 12, 12 to 13, and 13 to 14, I think was kind of where we were at there. You know, but that was kind of where it was at. And like I said, having not a lot of other people around, that spot there. But then I also had some friends that had video games, and we started kind of hanging out. And then Mortal Kombat came out, and they all became enemies. No,
the other game I just remember.
But so fast forward through all that, move out to another spot, like the last spot we ended up staying with, and it's like my best friend in life now. He and I got to be good friends at that spot, and we hit a weird point where like he got tired of playing games that he had on the Super Nintendo. I got tired of playing games I had on the Sega Genesis. And we just hit a point where we're like, you want to switch for a while? And I traded all of my Sega stuff to him. He traded all of his Super Nintendo stuff to me. And it was just awesome because we both had the ability to just kind of like,
that's
the greatest idea ever.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I'm going to trade you this for a couple of months. You're going to trade me that for a couple of months, and boom. And it worked out really great because I get to play all sorts of other games that I wasn't playing. And that's where the other big influential game came in, was Super Mario RPG.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the trifecta.
Yeah. So that was the one that brought me.
I totally missed out on that one.
Yeah. And that brought me back into Super Nintendo and stuff like that. So got into all that there, playing a little further along. And, then we had N64 came out. That was crazy. One of my buddies was like, he didn't ask for much here or there. And then when that came out, that's the one thing he wanted. So, his mom bought it for him like the day it came out, and we were playing all sorts of stuff. So then his place was to hang out. And, you talked about GoldenEye. We played that a good bit. But the game that we played recklessly and endlessly was WCW versus NWO.
Oh, that was
World
so
Tour.
good. I forgot about that one.
Because it was 4 players on one TV.
Yeah.
And you could tag team, and you could, and we'd set up stupid death matches, and we'd have like 8 people over there, and it was like the top
Tournaments.
2 stay, and we would alternate people in.
So good.
So we just did all sorts of crazy fun stuff like that. So that was a good one for us. And then from there, I kind of had a break until a buddy of mine showed up with the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. And I didn't think I was going to buy it. And then Final Fantasy VII did me in. That was the first game. And that game, off the rip, I played a half hour at my friend's house. And then I had the hooks in, or it had the hooks in. Mm-hmm. I made the biggest stupid mistake of my life that I have since recovered from. I literally took my NES that I had with somewhere in the realm of like 65 games.
Traded it.
My Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo that I had, because my buddy decided he was done with from the Super Nintendo, and I bought it from him. So took all that stuff in and traded it for PlayStation and Final Fantasy VII and like 2 other games. And I was like super excited at that time because, cartridge games were going for like, a nickel, stupid stuff like that. And I go back and look at some of the titles that I had that are worth like stupid money right now. Like Totally Rad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that cartridge alone is worth like $60-some by itself, I think, right now. Something like that. And I'm like, I had that. Played the shit out of that game.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Love that game.
So, but that, don't worry, I'm almost at the end. So got through there, and then I had, I hit a spot where I had 3 relatives pass away within 8 hours. Yeah. Lo mucho succo. And I had just got a game that I wanted to play, and this goes back, I guess, to the Piku Niku thing of like, it's a kiddie game and it's kind of fun. But it literally took my brain away from everything, and I beat the game in 2 days. It was Brave Fencer Musashi.
Oh.
If any of you guys have played that.
Nope, but you've certainly talked
never
about
heard
it before.
of that.
Yeah, it is. It was a Square Enix game. But I'm pretty sure it was Square.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But it was very kids. It was this weird samurai guy that came across this kingdom that needed help, and it was the all-you-can-eat kingdom. And all of the characters were named after weird things that you could eat. And you had to save some princess and all these people. Like some bad thing was happening, and something was encasing all of the villagers in this crystal. And you had this magical sword that you had to hit the crystals with to unlock the people. And after you unlocked so many people, it gave you more like health and more like stamina stuff you could use for different attacks. And then if you unlock certain characters, they'd unlock certain skills that you could do that would help you out with different areas, like being able to climb walls and stuff like that using 2 swords instead of. So there's all sorts of cool stuff like that. They had a thing where it was your stamina meter was based into a like night and day, like tired level. And if you were in the middle of a battle or something like that and you lost all of your stamina, your character would just fall asleep. He'd fall over and start sleeping. So, yeah, it was a little weird. What was the name of this game? Brave Fencer Musashi.
Brave Fencer Musashi.
Yeah. But you started getting, all sorts of, like, you get elemental attacks you could do. And the last boss was kind of crazy. It was like you had to keep switching elemental attacks in between different spots in the level to be able to attack it and not die. And, yeah. So the story was really fun to follow along with. Like I said, it's just one of those, like, get you through spots. Yeah. So, and from there, I was big in PS2. So I needed that as soon as it came out, and that was Metal Gear Solid, and Metal Gear Solid. I got Zone of the Enders when that came out. There were a couple of games that really got in there. Jack and Daxter series. So, and then I took a huge drop off. Like I think the Dreamcast was the last game I bought, and that kind of flopped. So I left. I didn't game for a long period of time. I kind of hung up a bunch of stuff and started working more often. And then somebody got me back in with Xbox 360, playing Modern Warfare.
It was a good game.
So I played the crap out of that. And then came the time. My wife was like, you can pick. You can either have an Xbox One or a PlayStation, whichever one you want. You can figure it out. I looked at all the content and I was like, PS4, here we go. Completely skipped PS3. Completely skipped over Xbox One. Yep. So.
Oh, man. You made the right choice, my friend.
Yeah. So skipped over all that stuff.
Nothing against Xbox, but I'm just saying that's how we like it together. It's the power of the PlayStation.
Well, it was funny because I looked through the games that were coming out. That were content specific, because I was like, I know there are games that are going to be for both sides. And I just looked at the ones that were like the games I wanted, and I was like, this is what I'm buying.
Right.
And the first game I bought whenever I bought it was Destiny, because I was like, the Uncharted game came with it, but when I was at the game store, I was like, I've heard all sorts of good stuff about this game, so I'm going to get it. And that was the only game I played for like the first months. And
the content upgrades are so good on those games too. That's all you needed.
Yeah. So that just kind of leads me down to this post where we're at right now, where I picked up a couple of games, and but I randomly ran across a buddy of mine that I knew from playing cards, like playing poker and stuff like that, and he was like, "Oh, hey, let me introduce you to this friend, Carlos." And then, let me introduce you to this friend, Ryan. And then started playing games with Dan, started playing games with Ben, started playing games with everybody in our little scope here. And then here we all are.
Happily ever after.
And just think, if you hadn't forcibly dragged me along into your little group, how much more boring would your life be?
Well, this show probably wouldn't be happening.
Yeah,
that's true too.
That's true, yeah.
So that's all my stuff. I mean, I'm sure there are games here on PlayStation 4 that have shaped my gaming run, but that was I looked at it and I started looking through my 3 to 5 games, and I was like, shit, there's going to be 3 to 5 systems and a lot of games and things like that. I was going to blaze through them real fast.
I feel like video games didn't influence my life as you guys now, because I only talked about 2.
That doesn't mean that they didn't. It just means that yours was more focused.
Right.
Like
We're just selfish.
Well, no, I'm in the same boat as you, man, because I mean, you guys obviously had almost your whole lives of having video games. I was kind of late in the game, but I remember for me it was like taking those 2-hour dumps to get extra time with my Pokemon or whatever, because I didn't have an extra TV, so the only way I could play video games was on my Game Boy. the bathroom or finding a way to get a flashlight working under the covers. And I mean, it was,
God, I remember
we all have our stories.
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh man, speaking of late night gaming, Double Dragon 2. Wow.
Oh, so good.
I used to, like, my grandmother would put me to sleep, and I would put a blanket under the like, literally like as if I was trying to, like, sneak through stuff. I'd put a blanket under the door so you couldn't see the light.
Oh my God.
And I would stay up and I would turn the TV back on and turn it down all the way down. And I would play Double Dragon 2 like 2 hours past my bedtime.
I love that. That is just awesome.
That's another good topic.
Covert gaming.
Kid gaming and how to get away with it.
Yep. All right. And that's where I have to end, because if not, I'm going to start thinking of more games and things like that I would get into. Wolfenstein and Doom and those things that, just.
Well, I think it's kind of a nice catalyst to future content, where we could talk about it. I think the gaming or games of the decade is a great one too. I know it's been circulating all over the place, but
yeah,
I've got a few for sure.
Yeah.
You guys should also talk about what games you regret buying.
Ooh. Have we done that one before? Like, no. I don't think we have.
Well, because I know there's a few that I have that I'm like, oh, I wish I'd never spent the $80 on that game.
Anthem.
Yeah, right? That's one of them.
Wait, which one? What did you say? Oh,
Yeah,
Anthem. Oh, Anthem.
Yeah.
I regretted the beta.
Yeah.
That was such a disappointment. But hey, we'll see what happens. They're talking about other stuff maybe in the future, fixing it.
Yeah, the full reboot, we'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
guys.
And then Anthem ruins another conversation.
I was gonna make a joke here, but I didn't buy the game.
Thanks, BioWare. God damn it.
Ray, remind me. These guys have already heard it. I've gone on a podcast rant about it.
Yeah.
Remind me to tell you about my first Magifest, aka the time that Dan and Ben and Jen, for my birthday, decided to send me a package.
Okay.
Oh man! Man!
I will be sure. Do we want to? Can we talk about it on a G-rated stream in the morning?
Sure.
Okay.
or if you wanted to, reconvene for some Fortnite or something for a few minutes, we have that option too.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'll give you the quick version, the quick breakdown version.
All right.
Love you guys.
With that, I think that with the interest of shutting Josh up,
Yes.
it's time to be done.
This is literally
Can I just say one more thing?
Playing. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, man.
If you guys, because I'm new to the stream and with Facebook and all that, if anybody listens to this and they get to you and say, no, he's totally wrong, please let me know, because like I said, I'm brand new. So like I would love to keep streaming on Facebook, but those hurdles are maybe I'm just not getting them. So if you guys get any information, or if people talk to you or listeners and say, hey, no, he's wrong with this, please let me know, because
for sure.
I'm all about, trying to figure it out and do it right.
Well,
right?
so-
And while you're here, do your full plug. Drop where people
absolutely.
can find you.
Oh, so is this where I say smash that like button? No, that's not right.
Yeah, smash that like button.
And hit that notification bell.
Yeah, just check it out. I'm on Twitch now. It's SAAG, SAAG_Dad on Twitch. And then on Facebook, it's just Slightly Above Average Gaming Dad. And I'm on both of those. I still am in the midst of putting content together for YouTube. And that's also SAAG Dad there. And I have Discord. It's called, this was done a while back. It's called Stu Seven's Online Foster Family. So
I like that. That's awesome.
Because originally, I had Stu 7 since I started gaming, like from when I was arcade gaming. Because do you guys remember back in the day, when you would put in your names, if you got first place or whatever on an old arcade machine, it would be a spin wheel with the letters.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just STU. and that's what I would pick every time.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what I got. And so from the time I've been like 10 years old, I've been Stu 7, but now I've kind of switched over to SAAG Dad for a lot of stuff, but you can still see that on PS4 and that I'm Stu 7.
I feel better about my name now.
Mine just came out of laziness.
I just really like Doritos.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for plugging it, and it's
been great having you, brother. This has been awesome.
Anytime, guys.
What a strange long journey it's been.
And fiddle with that follow button.
All of those things.
Maybe we can get everybody in, and we'll do a big, huge SAG squad, some type of game.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
and now we need to.
You know, to tell us about your musical instruments, man. We'll have to get together and do some video game covers.
Yeah, dude. What do you play?
Keyboards, mainly.
God, guys.
Keyboards?
Sorry, never mind. Here we go. Sorry.
We can resume this conversation after we stop. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
For listening all this time.
It's been a blast.
Love you.
Later.